Hi there, my name is Yasates here. Today I will be talking to you guys about REST APIs, and today we will also be building one using Flask, MySQL, and JSON. Alright, sorry about that, I just had a phone call. Anyway, so what I've done is that I've made my object. Now I will just print out new entry dot write. So what's going to happen is that the code's going to read. It's going to generate an object called new entry with these values, and it's going to write it to the database. So, oops. Yeah. And boom, yeah. So we've gotten our object ready. I forgot to write it with the brackets, that's why. I'm not gonna fix it now because it's gonna rewrite it twice. So now if I were to set these, strange. Okay, what have I done wrong? Oh, I think I have to write, yeah. Okay, there we go. So yeah, we can see a status, which is true. So that means that everything worked perfectly without any sorts of problems. So now if I were to go to the entries and select my rows, as you can see, there is a day 1, and I made a sandwich. Perfect. Now, we're halfway through our goal. The next thing we're going to want to do is write our delete database. Def write database. So now we're just going to do our delete database. Def delete database, which is also going to take in ourself. We'll just connect it like last time. In fact, you know what? We might as well just like recycle this code, because all we really need to change is our execution. So like what we want to execute to the database. So instead, what we will do is delete from entries where title is equal to s and content is equal to plus, or not triangle, percentage x. Now, let's just try this out. So first I wrote to the database. Now I'm going to delete to the database. Boom, status true. Now if I were to just, so what's happened, so I'm going to open up my database viewer. So what's happened is that what I did was I initialized an object with the 2 values, and then I just deleted it. So let me just open this up. Okay, and open. Now if I go to schemas and I go to diary, tables, entries, we see nothing. This is good. So now we have our working database communicators in our diary manager.py. Now what we need to simply do is create our API. So we'll call this app.py. So first of all, we're going to import our libraries, that the methods that we made. So from entry manager, import manager. Pretty straightforward. From Flask, import Flask and JSONify. So the JSONify library with Flask allows you to take normal dictionaries or just even lists and convert them to JSON objects. Alright, now we're going to also have to import from Flask, import Flask RESTful, which is a sub-library, and just import the API, the resource, and the abort fields, and Marshall's wood, they aren't necessary, but it's good to have them there because if you want to build on this API, you're going to need them. So first we're going to generate our app. So app is equal to Flask __ name. So this just gets the name from your environment variables. You don't need to worry about environment variables. It's just from the inside of your computer. And now we're just going to create an API with the Flask name that we already initialized. Next thing we're going to want to do is create a, so if the name is equal to main, because this is a main function, right? Because this is our main file, and we just want to run our app, so app.run. You can run it on any port you want. I like to run it on port 5000, and we want to have a debugger on so that we can check for any mistakes. So if I were to just run this, entry manager, diary manager. There we go. So yeah, status is true, status is true. Okay. Why is this showing status is true? Oh, whoops. We can't have this text here. We're gonna have to have it deleted. Okay. Alright, so now it's running on our local host. In fact, let me just show it to you. So right now there's nothing there, and that's a good thing. There's nothing there. Now, the idea is that we're going to take this link and we're going to add arguments to it, like write, and then we're going to write our title and whatnot. So let's start building that. So first, what we're going to want to do is create our routes. With our routes, we're going to be able to make those routes in our link, so that when we send a request from like a mobile phone, it will run. Let's first make our writing resource. So API.add resource, and we're going to call it make diary, because you're making your diary. So make diary is going to be our class, and we're going to make that in a bit. So first we're going to show our route. So make diary, and now what we're going to do is we're going to add 2 arguments. So we're going to first of all add our title. Our title is going to be in the form of a string. Next is going to be our content, which is also in the form of a string. Content. Okay. Now what we're going to do is now we're going to make our class. So it's class make diary. So class make diary, and it's going to take the resource. That's going to be, so instead of taking self, it's going to take resource. And we're making get requests. We could also use delete and put and posts, but in my opinion, I've never really found any real purpose for them, and most companies also just use get the most. So it's going to take in our title and content. Do note that the title needs to be the exact same as the variables must be the same. If they're not the same, it's going to throw an error. Like if this was content and this was content with a lowercase c, they don't match, do they? Okay. Next thing we're going to do is new entry. We're going to make a new entry. New entry, which is going to be, so first we're going to initialize our object, like how we did prior. In case if you remember here, we made our object. In fact, title, content. And then what we're going to do is we're going to find a status, which is equal to new entry dot write database. And we will now just simply return a JSONified version of the status. Okay, so this is what we've done. So first we add a resource, which is our route. Our route has proper specifications regarding what to do and what sort of endpoints to look at, or what sort of arguments to look at. Then we have a class linked to it that takes the arguments, throws it into our object we made, and then returns the status as a JSON. So I'm just going to open up the SQL database that we made just to see what we could insert. I just want to, Okay, yeah, so there's nothing here. so we have absolute freedom to write whatever we want. So let's try and run this. Okay. Alright, as you can see over here, there's nothing. This is because we haven't had our proper link ready, so we're going to first make our make diary. And first we're going to write our title. So our title could be day 2, and the information will be API is working. Now, what I'm going to write, hit enter, it's going to show a JSON. Yeah. So it shows a status of true. This means that everything is working perfectly fine. Now, let's go and just test this out. So I'm going to go to entries and select rows, and boom, it works. Alright. The next thing we're going to do now is delete and make a delete database. So API add resource. We're going to call it delete diary. Delete diary. Okay. And it's just going to have the same, we can just copy and paste this from here, although you shouldn't really copy and paste, but well, here we are. And in fact, we can also copy and paste this. I really shouldn't be copy pasting. We're going to make delete diary and delete database. Okay, so this is what we've done. We made a new endpoint, and this endpoint has its own routes. It takes 2 strings, title and content, and then it generates an object and deletes it and returns the JSONified status. Let's run this. Okay, so as we're running it, there's nothing really working, or like there's nothing wrong. Now let's try and just rewrite this. So delete underscore diary. Okay, so all we've done is that we've taken our same make, like how we made our diary, and we just changed the route from make diary to delete diary. Now, let's hit enter. So as we can see over here, everything worked. It gave us a status of 200, and we've returned a status of true. Now let's check into our database. As you can see, it's no longer there. So, we have now created a fully functional database and API connector. Now, if we were to make an iOS or Android or cross-native app, and it required us to make an API, well, now you have a bit of a better understanding as to how to make one. Thank you for watching this video. Please leave a like, share, and subscribe. Have a nice day.